Hi all, my name's Nicole. I'm the career coach here at UTS for undergraduate business students. This video is going to be all about your assignment, which is the resume. So just before we get started, a quick introduction to who I am. As you can see here, I am on screen. I've had over 8 years experience working with young professionals, helping them transition into the beginning of their careers. That's my background. And what we're going to cover today is resumes. So quick disclaimer before we get started. This is what is the recommended resumes that we suggest at UTS Careers. It is also what is required for your resume assignment. Some of this advice is generic. It is aimed at business students. So here and there may be things that you need to edit and tweak for your own requirements or for specific jobs or if they ask for specific things. So keep in mind that this is general business student resume advice. Let's get started. To start with, let's quickly define what a resume is. A resume is a professional document. It is summarizing your experience and your skills and selling yourself in the best way possible. So anytime when we're talking about any section, think about how you best portray yourself. And I'm going to cover the quick basics first, things that you shouldn't do. And it might seem silly, but in some countries like Germany and China, it is required that you have a photo in your resume. In Australia, no photo for this assignment as well. Really need to have simple formatting. The aim of the resume is to make it easy for the recruiter or the company or the employer who's looking at your resume to find the needed information. It's not about showing how creative you can be, unless of course you're applying for a creative role such as a graphic designer. Other than that, it's about showing them the right information, your skill set, your experience, your achievements, and letting them find it easily. Do not go over 2 pages and keep your main text, so your body text, about a size 10. If needed, a size 11. The other things that you really want to be keeping in mind are your email address, making sure it's professional because they will be using this to contact you. Always submit your resume as a PDF, not a Word document or any other type of file. This is just because most companies will use a system. When you apply for the job, whether it's via a system or whether it's via an email, it then generally gets put into a HR related system. And if it's not a PDF document, it can look very odd from the back end. So it's just making sure that how your resume looks when you submit it is how it looks when the employer looks at it as well. Always a PDF. Spelling and grammar, so important to get this correct. Just running the simple grammar and spelling checks when you're making it is really important. Getting someone external to have a look as well will always help here. A resume is a really weird document. It's the only document where you can't speak in first person. I did this, my experience here, but you also don't speak in third person. Nicole was a great employee. No, so it's not first person, it's not third person, it's this odd, strange kind of in between. And I'll give you examples if it's later on. So just keeping in mind, you don't say I, me, my on your resume. There is one exception to this, and I will talk about that a little later. And you've probably all heard it, that a recruiter will only look at your resume for 6 seconds. Very true. I've been a recruiter for many years. When we're doing the initial resume screen, you look at it very quickly and just say, do they have what I'm looking for? I need X, Y, Z degree. Do they have it? Yes, no. I need certain level of experience or I need certain skills. Do they have it? Yes, no. And I'm looking that quickly just to make the initial yes, no pile. Once I've got then a pile of possible yeses, then I'll spend more time on each resume. So it's making sure you've got that simple format like I mentioned earlier so that a recruiter in that quick initial screen can find the basic information they need. An example of this is here. So you don't have to have this exact layout, but it's just about keeping it simple. So if I said to you, does this person have a business degree? Do you think this person has any teamwork experience? Do you think this person could be someone who could fit well into our team? In 6 seconds, you could easily find that information. It's about having a simple layout. What I'm going to do now for the rest of this video and also for the next video is go through each section with a little bit more detail about what's needed for your resume and also for this assignment. So we're going to play a little game. This game, you're a recruiter and you're hiring an intern who's going to be based in Sydney and you're going to be hiring just a 2-week internship. So you're not given very long to go through the applications and you receive 4 applications for this role. You now have 30 seconds to decide which one of these candidates you would hire for the role. Okay, who do you think is the best candidate and why would you hire them? Are you going to hire Sabine, Dana, Abdul, or Daniel? What if I gave you another candidate to consider? Here's Samantha. Would you hire Samantha over the other candidate you hired? Now you want to think about why that is. It's probably because she only provided the relevant information. There's nothing there that you're going to be making assumptions on her about. So what this really shows to you is that you need to be considering what information you have in your contact details. It's really important that you have a professional email address. So something like Danny Boy Rules or Hello Kitty probably aren't the most professional. Also, why do you have your date of birth and why do you have your address? Your date of birth is just going to have people making assumptions. Are you too old? Are you too young? Maybe you're not the same age as other candidates. That's not their decision to make, and that doesn't factor in whether you are actually employable. Also, your address. You might want to show them that you're living locally. However, maybe they have some preconceived notions about that suburb or about that street, or maybe they know your neighbour. This information isn't actually important to getting you hired. If they ask for your address, yeah, of course, provide it. But if they're not, then just give the relevant information, your name, your phone number, your email address, and your LinkedIn profile. You don't want them making any assumptions about you, and it's about providing just the detail required. Alright, so now that we've thought about what contact details you're going to put on your resume, you then want to think about what's that first section, what's the first thing you're going to have in that resume. Do you have a career aspiration on there? The reason why you want to be putting a career aspiration is so that you're answering any questions that they might have, as well as giving them a bit of an overview as to who you are and what it is that you want. There's a few different approaches you can take when you're writing your aspiration. You can take it as an objective. What do you want to achieve? And this is generally a really great idea when it's the first time you're getting a job in this industry. So if you're a finance student and you're wanting to work in, banking, why do you want to work in banking? Giving that overview of why you also think you'd be a great candidate for that area. Or if you're targeting a specific position as well. So say you are a marketing student who's done a few digital marketing roles, but you're wanting to do something that now is a little bit more social media focused. And it doesn't clearly show in your resume why you'd want to do that. Use these few sentences to highlight that. Here's a few examples. So either of an objective or of a summary. A summary being a summary of your resume, your skills. An objective meaning you've got something you specifically want to achieve. Here's a few examples. I'll let you read through them. All right, hopefully you're able to highlight which ones are summaries and which ones are an objective. So an objective would be the first one and the fourth one. They've got specific roles that they're applying for. Whereas the two that are summaries are more just summarizing the skills and experience that person has. These are very, very basic ones. You would generally write a little bit more in your career objective. What you want to be thinking about is editing it for each role that you apply for. So you're thinking about the skills that are specifically relevant for that role, and you're also highlighting a little bit of knowledge that you have about that industry and the role as well, and keeping it to about 3 sentences. So think about which words you really want to be using, and think about too, is this role asking for leadership and project management, or are they asking for someone who's dedicated and motivated? You really want to be making sure that you align your objective or your summary with the job you're applying for. If you apply for a job and you say you've got great project management and great leadership skills, but they're not asking for those skill set, they might just think you're not the right candidate for that role. So make sure this is something that you are editing. Next is your education section. Everybody here is a UTS student, so hopefully some of this part will be quite obvious to you. You're going to need to have your degree. and you put it in reverse chronological order. That means the most recent thing goes first. Therefore, your degree goes above anything that you've done previously. There's a few things you have to have in your education section, and some things are going to be up to you what you put in. So let's start with the things that you must have. You need to have the name of your degree, your university, and the dates that you're studying. It's important to have the month and year, not just the year. Employers will need to know when it is that they can hire you for full-time roles. Even when you're just applying for an internship, it's important they know when you'll be finishing, because they might have certain requirements on the person that they're going to be hiring. It's also really recommended you put your majors and your sub-majors or minors on there as well. And your marks. If you're getting a credit average or you want to put your GPA on there, you can put your actual grade or you can put a predicted grade. So if you actually at the moment are, say, on a 62, but you know that by the time you graduate, you're going to have moved that mark up to 65 and you're aiming for that and you expect that you will get that, it's okay to put a credit as a predicted. If you don't put grades on your resume, it's assumed then that you're just getting about a pass average. If you're not happy with your grades, then don't put them on there. Your resume is about showing you in the best way possible. But as I said, if no grades are included, it will be assumed you're probably sitting on about a pass. Under this, you'll then want to be putting a few relevant subjects. I'd be suggesting 4 to 6. What this section does is it gives the employer or the recruiter a bit of an idea as to what your degree is actually covering and how it's relevant to the role you're applying. Because as a recruiter, I'm getting applications from 10, 20 different universities. Within that university, dozens of different degrees. I don't have to specifically know the difference between a Bachelor of Business versus a Bachelor of Management versus a Bachelor of Economics at UTS versus UNSW versus Newcastle Uni. It's your role to show me how your degree is relevant for this role. So give a little bit of context here for the employer. Next is your high school. So your high school does not need to be included on your resume. It's good to have it if you want to, but it is not required. And it's up to you which sections best show you. If you want to tell them which school you went to, do it. If not, just put, that you went to high school during certain years. If you don't want to put the years you went to high school, then don't put it. If you want to include your ATAR, I think you're getting the idea. Put it on if it shows you well. If the subjects are relevant and you want to show which subjects you studied, put them on. But if not, pick and choose which parts of that represent you well, or just take it out altogether. Completely up to you. The next bit is your IT skills and your language skills. These are things that you have learnt. That's why they should be in the education section. Please don't put proficient in Microsoft Office. That doesn't help anyone. They don't know what proficient means. Under each one, Word, PowerPoint, Excel, in brackets, put the level that you're actually at. And be honest here. Excel, if you can do VLOOKUPs and pivot tables, you're probably around an intermediate level. If you're able to do, the detailed coding on Excel, then you're probably advanced. Most students are probably sitting at a basic Excel level. Try not to oversell yourself here, because if they hire you as an intern and you've said you're advanced or intermediate Excel and they go and give you pivot tables to do and you can't do them, it's not going to play too well for you. So have a think about any IT skills and knowledge that you have and throw them here into this section. And then your languages. If you speak any language other than English, really important to also show what level your English language is at. Are you native? Are you fluent? Is it intermediate, conversational, basic? For each language that you put down, make sure you let people know what your level is. Again, for the same reasons for IT skills. If you go and put German on your resume and I hire you in and put you in front of my German clients, and then you go, oh, no, it's just basic, probably not going to reflect you too well. The one final thing under education that I want to touch on is that if you've got things like scholarships and captain at school and things like these achievements you had at school and university, they should not be in your education section. They should be in your achievement section. So your extracurricular and achievement section, which is later on. So quick summary, remember to put the level in your languages and your IT. Keep it really clear and concise. And make sure you've got the right dates and all the details to make it important and relevant. In the next section, we're going to move on to your experience area.